Hi, I'm Yinka, and this is The Hurt Locker, a podcast where we open a door into men's mental health. Coming up, when was the last time you cried?
A man not in control of his feelings is the most dangerous thing in the world. I'm up here breaking so many old ass traditions, man. All the rules I've learned is written in blood.
Didn't it tell you about an educational system for people of color in the States?
You have to work twice as hard to get half the reward.
You're listening to The Hurt Locker, a podcast that opens the door on men's mental health. And tonight's guest is acclaimed comedian from across the water, Solley Sellers Jr. Solley, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. Feeling pretty good.
Good. Okay. So I'm just going to dive straight in and ask, you're a comedian. You've been doing stand-up for how long now?
2 years now.
2 years now. Okay. So.
I'm a baby. I'm a baby in the industry.
You're a baby in the industry. And if you don't mind me saying, you're a mature baby. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, calling yourself the Gray Ghost. So, what is it that led you to stand up? What is it that said, you know what? It's time for me to have a go at this now. If not now, then never.
That's a great question. That is a great question. I have an answer for you. Well, it started out on my birthday 2 years ago. My wife said, you're always telling the jokes, you're cracking the jokes at the family cookout, friends and family. I'm the funny guy there, right? So she was like, why don't you just go take a class? And for my birthday, she got me a class and I went. And I got the bug. It just bit me. And took the class, and then at the end of the class, you have your first show, and it was something about standing up in front of people, because you're nervous about that. Your whole life you're nervous standing in front of people, and talking to a group of people. And I just wanted to prove to myself I could do it. And when I did it, and the laughter happened, it was like, layman terms, like a drug. All of a sudden just hit me. I never had that feeling before, So next thing you know, I was like, I really like it, because there are a lot of people in my class that didn't follow up and pursue. So I just decided to pursue to see how far I could get. And it's going well. I'm out here paying my dues, so to speak.
What do you mean by paying your dues?
Okay, so now you just can't go into comedy clubs and say, hey, I'm a comedian, put me on, Like paying your dues is you're going to all the open mics. So I'm in open mics where a comedian can come in, do a 5-minute set along with your peers. It's just other comedians. Sometimes some people come in to those clubs, but mostly it's just you working on your material. So that when you hit the stage, it doesn't look rehearsed. It looks natural. Your flow is good. You got the premise, the setup, the punchline, and you want to make sure you're working on that, your stage presence, how you moving on stage and how you're talking and what kind of energy. So you have to pay your dues, because there are millions of comedians here, just say in the United States. And a lot of places are hard to crack, like New York, Texas, California, even in the Midwest between Chicago and Atlanta, all these places. And you have to go out there and hone your skills. So paying your dues is going to those open mics. You try to hit 2-3 mics a day if you can,
Wow.
And you're just constantly working, and you're networking, man. So you're paying your dues. So when you finally get, say, a mainstream club to perform at, people aren't like, who's this guy? What did he do? Who are you? They're going to know I paid my dues out here going to the open mics. And when you talk to a more well-established comedians than me later on in your show, they'll tell you have to pay your dues.
Excellent. You're traveling the length and breadth of the States itself.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find particular areas, particular regions to be more challenging than others?
Well,
What's been your hardest gig?
You're a comic in the tri-state area. New York is a hard place to crack.
Okay.
New York is really hard to crack. And then when you travel south, because I'm in the north, and when you travel south, Atlanta, Texas, Florida, those places are tough places to crack. And then when you go to the West Coast out to California, they all have their different styles. It all depends on the people, and it all depends on your audience. And sometimes you tell a joke, and man, it hits. Boom, boom, boom. Everyone's laughing. And then you go tell the same joke at a different club the next day, and crickets. Not a sound.
How do you handle that?
For me, when it happens to every comedian, so any comedian tells you they didn't bomb, they're lying. So when I bombed, my first time I bombed, it shocked me, but I took the class and I was taught to just power through to the next joke. Just continue. Don't stop. You continue. I had a 5-minute set in New York the day before in Jersey, killed. Did it in New York, didn't kill. So I just did exactly what I was told. I powered through the jokes, and then I say, I'm the Gray Ghost. Thanks for coming out. Have a good night. Yinka, it happens. You're on there, and you're really, for a week straight, you're just killing your jokes. Boom, boom, boom. And then at one time that people in the audience are not laughing, then that old lady in the audience would be like, baby, why'd you say that? Poor baby. When you hear poor baby, you know you're in trouble. You're in trouble. So I just, you power right on through your routine, and you say, I'm the Gray Ghost. Thanks for coming out. Get your ass off the stage.
Thank you. Would you say that, obviously, you watch other comedians, etc. Would you say there's anybody that influences your style, or what is your style?
Well, growing up, I would say the ones that I admired the most growing up was Red Fox, Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy. Those along the lines. George Carlin.
Yes.
Robin Williams. You could just see that they gave you a piece of them. See, what I found out, the fans, they want a piece of you. Now, what I mean by that is they can tell if your jokes are authentic, that what you're saying really comes from here. Comes right from the heart.
Yes.
Right. And if it's legit. And everyone will tell you in stand-up, you have 10 seconds. 10, maybe 30 seconds to grab the crowd. That's all you have. So you have to get that attention immediately when you hit that stage. But you're going to see this. They'll be with the phone, looking down at the cell phone, not paying attention to your set. They'll start talking to their friends next to each other, and you're just, it's over. It's downhill from there.
Okay, so if you're going to be a critique of how you're doing so far over the past 2 years, what would you score yourself out of 10?
Okay, out of 10, I'm right around a 4.5, maybe 5 now. As far as my confidence, I'm a 10. My confidence, I'm a 10. I believe my performance, I'm around a 5, 4 or 5, because, like I said, I'm fairly new, 2 years in, and I'm still working on jokes. I have a joke that I'm still working on that I started 2 years ago. I've changed the sentence, I've changed words, I've changed how I'm going to present it on stage, and I'm still working on it. And that's what I mean by when you're writing jokes or you're paying your dues, you're just constantly working, reworking. You do write sessions with other friends, other comics. You'll sit down and you'll spitball your joke up to them, and they'll be like, hey, well, maybe you should say this. And at this point, so it's definitely, I would say a 5 overall. You give me a 5 right now. I'm working towards the 10.
One of the things that I've, not just to do interviewing comedians or sitting down chatting like yourself with comedians, I do appreciate comedy, and I realize and recognize it's a craft that needs to be honed over time. And you have to be You mentioned working collaboratively with people.
Right.
Do you find that difficult sometimes to be vulnerable in that sense of, listen, let me test this out on you, give me some pointers how I can improve, etc.? Or does that come naturally as well?
For me, it comes natural because of my age, my life on this earth. This where my wisdom of my time of being on earth, being 56 years old, comes into play. I don't have an ego when a guy goes, man, that joke really stinks. And you can rework the joke, or I wouldn't do that joke. I don't take offense to it, because we're all comics out here. And I'd rather have the blunt answer to my face before I get up on that stage and it really does bomb where it counts. So there are a couple of people that I have in my circle that I've met that I'll call them specifically, and I know I'll get the blunt, straight, right in your face answer. Oh, that's a great joke. No, that joke sucked.
And you need that though, don't you? You need that. You need people in your camp that are confidants, that you can trust, that you can rely on, that can gauge things for you.
Yeah, it's definitely come. My circle is small so far. I have to watch who you let in, because unfortunately in this game there's some jealousy, and every comedian thinks they're funny, but not, but everyone doesn't have your best interest at heart. All it takes is a comic that's been around a while to go to a club owner and be like, oh, I don't like him. You won't like his style. Don't hire him to work at the club. And
has that happened for you?
That hasn't happened to me yet, knock on wood, but I've seen some comics that it has happened to. And I've seen some comics that I know personally are in what we call a little beef with other comics. They don't like each other. If they do a showcase, because I'm at that showcase now level where you're doing showcases with other comics trying to get discovered, and if they see that person's on the showcase with them, they'll be like, I'm not going to talk to that guy if he sees me. I'm not shaking his hand, or I'm not going to do the showcase because I see they're on it. So, and they'll be on their Facebook page or their Instagram page, sniping at each other.
Wow. I suppose that's human beings for you, as you say. It happens. So we're going to go back. Prior to being a comedian, what was your career? What was it that you were doing?
I drive a 18-wheeler. I have my CDL. And I drive, cross country. I was on the road for a while, cross country, and now I drive local, so I'm home every day. And prior to that, I was in the Marine Corps, so military background. And you can see that picture right there.
I can see it. Yeah,
that's a picture of my young self right there over my shoulder.
Wow. So, did you do many tours then?
Well, we only had Desert Storm, Desert Shield was the only one I was involved in back in the 1990. And I was stationed in the Philippines when Mount Pinatubo blew up and erupted. We had an earthquake, which was, being from the East Coast, that was my very first earthquake, very first volcano blowing up. And that was traumatizing because we had to do a lot of, humanitarian trips into the town where some of the town was like totally destroyed, and was helping pulling out bodies. And it was kind of like, wow, to watch natural devastation. It was crazy to have an earthquake, a volcano, and what they call those tropical storms. It's not a hurricane, it's the one below a hurricane.
A tornado.
Not a tornado. It's still like a hurricane, but it's the step below hurricane. I can't believe I can't get that.
I'm thinking
typhoon. So that all hit at one time, and I watch it be 11 o'clock in the afternoon and totally black out the sky. And
Yes.
all of a sudden it looked like it was midnight. That I thought it was the end of the world happening. I was like, oh no, what's going on? So that was kind of nerve-wracking.
You're in the Marine Corps. How long did you serve for?
I served 4 years.
4 years. Is that the shortest period of time you can serve, or?
That's the shortest you can serve, 4 years.
After that, you just thought, you've earned your stripes, you don't want no more of this?
Well, no. Marine Corps at that time, they were downsizing. This just before, right after Desert Storm, Desert Shield, everything's calming down. So I wanted to do what they call a lateral move. They wanted me to stay in infantry, combat, and I'm like, well, if I'm going to stay in here, I don't want to just be combat. So when I had tried for a lateral move into another field, in computers or admin, they were like, oh no, you're pretty good at what you do, and I'm like, no, I don't want to stay in combat. So I just decided if I can't get to where I want to go, then I'm out. Because when you get out of the Marine Corps, what job are you getting in that you were an infantryman?
What
I was
job are you
infantry,
getting?
right? Right. So what I'm going to put on my resume, I can snipe people from 1,000 yards away on my resume. I can shoot people 500 yards without a scope on my rifle. Hire me. What kind of job? I'm going to get a hitman job or something, So it was like, if I'm going to stay in the Marine Corps, I want something that eventually translate over to the civilian side. But I couldn't get what I wanted, and then my time was up, and I had a decision to make, and I just said, okay, I'm out of here.
I've never been one for military and all of that, and I'm just going to be straight with you in that one. And I'm just wondering how it impacted you with the skills that you've acquired, because that's a unique set of skills. They're not everyday skills. How does that shape you as an individual?
I'll tell you one thing I definitely got on the positive side was planning. Planning and being on time, being efficient. They had the thing, proper planning prevents piss poor performance.
Yes.
I brought that out. And I had, I could get up on time, never late. I'd rather be early. With people of color, they over here in the United States say, CP time. I'm like, I don't know what that is. I'm always on time. In fact, I'd rather be early. In fact, when I logged in here, I was the first one in, waiting for you guys to come on. So basically, it translated. It helped me.
Stop that now, Solley.
It helped me. It helped me. I'm just like that now. Why it wired me that way. And I'm gonna tell you, the Marine Corps helped me when I was lost. Like the Marine Corps helped me to navigate and be able to take care of things on my own and figure some things out. Now, believe it or not, when I went in the Marine Corps, they actually gave a class on how to write a checkbook and have a savings account. And you believe it or not, how many people I was in the Marine Corps, they never had a bank account, checking account, or they even know how to write a check. I don't know if they have the UK, they have a checkbook with checks in for you to write. Guys literally thought because they still had checks, they had money.
Money, yeah.
And they would bounce. They would bounce money. And then we have to counsel them like, hey, just because you have checks. They said, what do you mean I don't have any money? I still got checks. I'm like, no, that's not how it works. Believe it or not.
But didn't that tell you something about an educational system?
Oh, man. It's definitely now. I didn't graduate college, right?
Okay. Let me go even deeper, direct. Didn't it tell you about an educational system for people of color in the States?
Okay, I'm gonna get to that. Now, for me, I started college, but I didn't finish, and that's totally my fault. I got my oldest daughter, mom pregnant, and I was like, man, I gotta, get a job. Let me get a job, start working. So years later, my oldest daughter, she is married. She's married. I don't want to put that. And she has kids of her own, and she lives in Florida. Now, when I met my wife for 28 years, she did have an education. She did have a college education. And I'm proud to say the 2 children I have with her, my son and daughter, they both graduated college because I decided that what happened to me, it's not going to happen to them, because I understood the value of an education, especially here in America. Okay, people of color, what do we tell each other? Same thing my grandfather said, no matter what it was, or my father said, I told my kids the same thing. You have to work twice as hard to get half the reward.
Believe.
Because of the color of your skin. You know, twice as hard and get half the reward. My son is now finishing up his master's at NJIT, and both of my children graduated from St. Peter's University in Jersey City. So my wife and I we decided education was going to be very important for them, and how easier it is in your life later.
Yes.
And how many more options you have when you have the education.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So tell me, growing up for you, who was there? Who was there in your brood and your clan?
Well, growing up, I'm from a 2-parent household. Okay, neither one of my parents graduated high school, but that didn't stop them from achieving things they needed to achieve. I tell people all the time that, yeah, sometimes the lights man got cut off, or the heat got cut off, but that wasn't for the lack of my parents hustling. You know, my father was a construction worker, so construction work is seasonal. You know,
Absolutely,
so when the wintertime comes, when wintertime comes, there's no construction going on when the winter storm's going on. So he has to sit. But my mother she was a hustler. Okay. And I don't know if I should tell this.
Oh, tell it. Come on.
Okay. I remember my mother sitting at a table with a calculator. The old calculator that had the white tape at the back of it as she's typing in it, printing out the numbers and everything, and being on the phone, and all day. My mother was running numbers.
Okay.
She was running numbers.
Okay.
You know, my mother passed away, so there's nobody can do anything about it. Nobody can do anything to my mother. All statute of limitations are gone anyway. But my mother ran numbers, all right? So I come from a family of hustlers. And I remember being like 6 or 7 years old. My mother go, drive me somewhere, stand outside that apartment window. Somebody's going to stick out a bag, catch it, and get back in the car. And I catch bags of money. You 6 or 7, you don't know what's in the bag. But later on, I found out catching in the bag. So when my father wasn't working, my mother picked it up. You know, she was that kind of black woman. She wasn't kicking my dad back in, like, oh, you don't have a job, this, that, and the third. No, my mother was like, don't worry about it. I got it. And she would hustle. She threw poker parties. When I say poker parties, man, I'm talking like big money poker parties. You know, cops coming by to get their cut, to make sure the poker party can keep going. Police officer, like, why is the police at the door? Mom, she handed him an envelope, you know, and my dad, back in the day when there was Teamsters, the unions.
Yes.
I used to see my dad come home, man, knuckles just all bruised up. So my dad was a big man, his big old hands just bruised up, like, what's going on? You know, why your hands all beat up and everything? And, you know, later on I found out that when I'm telling a whole lot of stuff, boy.
This is what we're here for.
I found out that, you know, when unions do strikes, they didn't want people, to call them scabs, coming in for the job.
Yes. Black legs, yes.
Yeah. So my dad was with those kind of guys that would, if you try to be a scab and take a job, you're going to see those guys waiting for you at the gate. Yeah. And you get in a couple of skirmishes and stuff. When my mother passed away, I have never seen so many white Italians show up at my mother's funeral. Man. Straight, I'm like,
Respect.
wait a minute, are we Italian? Do we have? No, these guys was hugging my dad. Oh, Solley, my father's Solley Sr. Oh, Solley, sorry for your loss. Reaching in their pocket, handing my father white envelopes full of cash. For I guess the things he used to do for them when he was.
You know what?
And don't worry.
They were paying their dues.
Yeah, they were for whatever my dad was doing at those strikes and making sure that scabs didn't get in the job or people stayed in line. Because all of a sudden, my father was like a supervisor at the construction site. He could bring home the company truck. My dad would be in the company truck. He never drove his car. I'm like, Dad, how you get this company pickup Ford? One of them Fords with the company name on the side. What are you bringing that home for? I'm a supervisor. He'll come home in the middle of the day and just sit there and say, Dad, aren't you supposed to be at work? He said, yeah, the crew is taking care of everything. Don't worry about it. I'm going over to the racetrack because my dad loved horses. I'm going over to the racetrack, have fun. So I had parents who did what they had to do for the family, and I've carried that on for mine. And I'm instilling the same kind of values, but on a higher level, more safer level for my sons and my daughters.
Absolutely.
You got to do what you got to do in order to make sure your family has. So, how everybody wants to be the finished building. Everybody wants to be the 10,000 square foot home with the 6 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, the pool in the backyard, but nobody wants to be the foundation.
Yes.
I made up my mind I was going to be the foundation. You know what I'm saying? I'm the foundation.
Yes. So
that the house, when it's finished, you can't rock it, you can't shake it, you can't knock it down. So everybody, like I said, wants to be the finished house. Nobody wants to be the foundation. But I made up my mind from my lack of getting the education. It was an opportunity for me to get it, and I didn't take full advantage of it. But that was on me. Can I ask you a question real quick?
Please.
So you call this the Hurt Locker, and
yes.
What was the whole concept behind this?
The concept was very much about, it's on a number of levels. I'm a therapist. Okay. And this isn't about therapy talking, but I specialize in suicide as well. Right. I deliver a lot of training. You may be familiar with ASSIST because they do ASSIST in the military in America, and it's a big program, which is applied suicide intervention skills training. So the remit for me was, I look at suicide, I look at it from the intervention, prevention, but also postvention, people who've been bereaved by suicide. And in the UK, the stats show men 3 times more numerically to die by suicide than women.
Yeah, because our love is with condition. I believe men only get love under to condition. They provide security, they provide shelter, they provide stable financial, and it never appreciated until the day they die. That's when everybody want to give the man their flowers when he's gone.
But don't you think that that's kind of changing in this 21st century? That there's a step. Okay, yeah, well, I'm going to challenge you now because
no. I think it's still men are still it's conditioned. We're loved under condition.
Okay, we may be conditioned. We may be conditioned, but the reality is that women are wearing trousers now. Women are in boardrooms, not to the extent. You know what, Solley?
We can step into it. Go ahead, step into it.
We haven't progressed as Black and brown people to be seen in those senior positions of authority, as a collective in the Western world. Go to India, go to the African continent, it's totally different. But when we come into North America, the United States, when we look across Europe, we don't see our faces there represented at those senior management levels to the extent. But the point here about what the Hurt Locker was all about was about providing a platform, a space, a safe space for men to talk about their own experiences growing up, about the traumas that they may or may not have experienced, about feeling vulnerable, about just being who they are, without fear of judgment.
Like, how about, oh my God, you're going to open a can of worms now. So I'm going to tell you something personally for me.
It's opened.
This is for any men out there that are feeling the same way I feel. I have to tell my kids sometimes, and I have to tell my wife sometimes, just because I come in the house, all right, and I'm not exploding and pissed off, doesn't mean I didn't have a bad day. Because I firmly believe this, true to my heart. A man not in control of his feelings is the most dangerous thing in the world. Okay? When you see those men that walk in their job and they shot up the place, or you see you hear of a man who killed his wife and then chopped up and put it in a suitcase. So those are definitely guys who definitely did not have their feelings and their emotions under control. And it's like fighting a goddamn tiger one-on-one every day, or say a grizzly bear, or even worse, a polar bear. Okay, it's like fighting that every day, feeling that, okay, I went out in this world, I had to compete. Okay, since I was 5 years old, I was told I had to compete. And I'm hurt, fall down, get up. Shake it off. Don't cry. Even now, I've done it as a coaching baseball. One of my players get hit by a pitch, and I'll be yelling, "Don't rub it! Don't rub it! Don't you dare rub it! Go on, get up, going down to first." If they're not physically hurt and you're just injured, if you hurt, you can still play. If you're injured, you can't play. So you ask that question: are you hurt or are you injured? And they said, "Oh, I just hurt." All right, go on, get on down there and make sure you can play. So I tell my wife and my son when I really, it's about to boil over, I will leave the house. I will leave the house because I know there's nothing more dangerous than me if I'm not in control of my emotions. And I'm expected to do that 24/7, no matter what happens. And then I got to come home and deal with your stuff. Oh, Dad, I got practice. I got to be here. Honey, could you fix the windows not going up and down right? The sink is clogged up. Can you clog it up? So I have to suppress everything and act like I just didn't have one of the most fucked up days in my life.
Good. So tell me, when you have one of those fucked up days, where's your outlet?
First of all, let's just say, and this is many men, and I guarantee you this is around the world, I sit in my car for about 15, 20 minutes before I come in the house. I'll blow off the steam in the car. I'll put on some music, and I'll listen to the music, and I'll just blow off the steam in the car. And I'll MF and cuss with the windows rolled up and have my little cuss session and fuck the boss. And if he say one more, I'm going to choke the shit out of his ass. I get all that out of the way, 20 minutes in the car, man. You have to. Oh, and don't do it. Yeah, no one has no sympathy for you as a man.
Okay. I'm laughing because part of the reason why I was late today was because I was doing the exact same thing of sitting in the car and listening to music. I wasn't cursing anybody, but it wasn't even de-stressing, as it were, decompressing. I was decompressing my day, and I enjoyed listening to my music and that. But there comes a point whereby you can't carry everything, and it doesn't matter if you're what we call in the UK or in Liverpool effing and jeffing. You're swearing, you're doing this and that. Isn't there an outlet there for you to talk to other people about, this is how I'm feeling? And before, let me just throw this one in because you said something that I wanted to ask. When was the last time you cried?
Man, it's been a while. It's been a while. I've gotten to the point where I say last week, I got that tightness in my chest where you just like, and you can feel like something, the life is being choked out of you, but I didn't cry. But I just had that last week because I had a super bad garbage week. It was just a horrible week, and it was like, oh, boy, let me just pull over. That time I had to just pull over. I wasn't even home yet. Let me pull over here and just try to push it down because it's boiling over.
Interesting. And what would happen if it boils out?
When it finally comes out, when I'm finally able to just release it, it feels like your lungs were on fire and you're finally getting it extinguished. Like if I literally could blow smoke out of my mouth without a cigarette or something, that's exactly what it came out. All that heat I literally was feeling hot, arms feeling hot, chest feeling tight, feeling hot. And when it finally all came out, if it could have been a visual, you would have thought I was a dragon. That's how much came out that day. I was like, you know what? But I knew better not to go home first with that garbage on.
Okay. Okay.
I'm still in some way trying to contain and maintain that, because up here in my mind, I firmly believe this. When anybody's watching this, if you're a man and you're not in control of your emotions, you're a danger to society. You're a danger to the world. Depending on what your job is, you're a danger to the world. Because
you
have to be more logical. Women don't understand that. We have to be, as men, we have to be more logical. Being that I was in the Marine Corps, I've seen what men can do to one another when they are out of control in their emotions. You have to see the violence. And it's right there in the history books. Just look at the history books. What men will do to one another in the name of some cause, the violence that they will put on people. That's why I told my daughters, both my daughters, don't play with men. Don't play with me. Don't poke the bear. Because I've seen the most docile, smallest person who never got in trouble snapped and kill a girlfriend. And people are all on TV like, he was never violent. I never saw him. He's very nice. He spoke to me every day, but just it takes one time to poke the bear, calling him he's not a man, trying to always tell him, man, you're not a man. I know what no. Were you born with a penis? No, you weren't born with a penis. I do not know how it is to be a woman or a little girl. I was not a girl. So I let my wife and my oldest daughter's mother raise the girls. I did the protecting. I did, the discipline, what I expected them to be young women. But this thing where women said to me, to my face before, you're not a man. You don't know how to be a man. And you do? You know how to be a man? You were born with a penis? I had no idea what you knew what it is to take to be a man. And it drives me crazy. But I know for a fact, our superpower for men, any men watching this, I'm going to give you the plain and simple. Our superpower is where you're in control of your emotions. That's our superpower.
Okay,
because
so
I've seen it.
And you talk about history, and I think probably my favorite film, war film, isn't Apocalypse Now, which is a great film. I think my favorite film is, I think, Terrence Malick's The Thin Red Line.
I've seen both.
And I think man's inhumanity to man is depicted viscerally in that film. And so, yeah, I'm under no illusions of what man is capable of doing for a cause.
I don't even know what the president was going through. I would love to have been a fly on the wall. I would love to have been Oppenheimer, but to finally say, you know what? We're going to drop 2 atomic bombs so that we can save lives. Just to even have that kind of mentality. We're going to kill millions of people to make sure we can stop this war. So just like I said, it's there in the history book what men have done to men over time. Through time, you can just look for yourself and see if we get out of control or men are in their emotions, and especially this one, in the name of God. Oh my goodness, boy, men will do a try. I know when those people died, if there's a heaven and they showed up St. Peter sitting at the gate, bro, it was like you was doing a whole lot of killing in our name and you're not coming in. You're not
You know that. You know
You're not.
that. Can I ask your son, and I'm being pointedly, you have a son, yes? You have at least one
Yes.
son? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Was he allowed to cry?
I would let him cry, but it had to be, how can I say this? I let him cry.
To be honest, your own way.
I let him cry, but then I have to stop and tell him that, okay, it's okay to cry, but now you got to get up, dust yourself off. And of course, I said the same thing, this old cliche we've been saying, we fall down so we can learn how to get back up. You know, you fall, it teaches you how to get up. And it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down. What matters is that you keep getting up, you keep moving forward. Okay? So you're in competition. I told my son long ago, you're in competition with kids that you don't even know, that you never ever met. I'm preparing you for people you haven't even met yet, that you're in constant competition. And I'm going to give you an example. You ever be with your friends and you'll say, hey, man, I just bought a brand new pair of shoes. These are Stacey Adams or Jordans, whatever. I just bought some new shoes. And one of the other guys go, I just got some shoes too. You're like, oh, well, I just bought this new car. Well, my car is such and such. And you're like, why every time I say I got something, this guy, see, you're in competition. You don't even know it. You don't even know it. You're in competition with this person and you don't even know. They didn't even announce to you, hey, we're competing. They're watching you from afar, everything you do, the girlfriend you got, maybe the car you got, the education you got, the promotion at the job you got. I've been here longer. Why did I get the promotion? And they're not happy for you. You're in constant competition as a man, 24/7.
Okay, but couldn't it be argued on the flip side that rather than being in competition, I'm just reflecting back what you said in terms of preparing foundations for your family, etc. Wouldn't you say that the competition that your son, yourself has been, isn't with other people, but with yourself and doing what's right for you?
Of course, as a person, you want to improve as much as you can. And I really believe your parent upbringing, that competition is going to be several different things. You know, it could be if you was brought up in a religious household, your competition would be probably who's more closer to God in this house, or are you reading the Bible more, or you know what I'm saying? Are you spreading the word of God more? That could be that competition in the house. It could be a household where it's just a mother and no father around, and your competition could be, how do I get a meal on my table? Do I go out here and sell drugs? Do I need protection? So for my protection, do I join the gang? You know, it's always on some personal level, you're competing to be in a better position in your life. Now, for me, it's starting to be this comedy thing because that's my release. Seeing people laugh, having them laugh, because I believe this world needs more laughter now.
100%.
It's for me, my competition is to get up on that stage and say you went to work all week long. It matters to me. It matters to me you work all week long, whatever job it was, all these hours, and you came to a show, paid for it to see me and some other comedians. You paid. I want you to get your money's worth. I want you to get that out. I want you to laugh. I need you to have some type of release. So I'm still being competitive with myself, trying to reach a level of being a comedian where people go, that guy gave me a piece of him, but he also brought me my piece through laughter.
Yes.
He brought me a sense of relief. I want a couple to show up. And I said this before the other comments. I want a couple to show up, drink, eat, laugh their ass off, and then get home and fuck each other till the morning comes, till the sun comes up. You know what I'm saying? I want them to have that night because I know right then and there, when that guy laughed, he's not going to bash his wife's head in. She laughed. She's not going to kick his back in if he lost his job or he's not doing something that she really wants, like mind read. They still think we can read minds. But, some women still think we can read minds. And she's going to look at him again with that first look that made her want him in the first place.
Yes.
They'll look at each other like, wow, I had a great night and we laughed. And that guy, the Gray Ghost, he was funny as hell. And I need to compete with myself to make sure that you got your money's worth. Because I know working 40, 60, some people 65, 70 hours in a week, you need to blow some steam on. Come see me. I'll make you laugh.
You spoke about being in the Marine Corps, doing 4 years there. And I'm wondering, moving over then to becoming a trucker, was that about introspection? Was that about isolating oneself? Was that about reflecting on that experience? Because you used the word trauma, bearing witness to trauma whilst you were there, during those 4 years. And I'm wondering how being on the road, solitary, driving up and down the country, was that your therapy?
I never even thought about it that way. When I'm thinking about you brought it up. Yeah, it kind of, you're out there on the road. I had a lot of time to myself to think about my life, think about the stuff I wish I would have done, couldn't, I should have done, and the things I've seen, the people that are not here in this world anymore in my life because they passed away, friends that passed away, and I would say being on that road and it's just you in that truck, and I would do 600 miles a day. Okay, so to get from, say, New Jersey to California would take me 4.5 days to get across, doing about 625 miles a day. And in between all those miles, you're in that driving, man, you're playing music and you're constantly in your thoughts. Like, wow, I wish I would have said this to this guy while he was alive. I wish I would have done better in this relationship. You find yourself, when you see these people, you're like apologizing to them later, like, hey, you remember when this happened and I said this, XYZ? I'm sorry I said that.
Stop. And I'm smiling and happy because for me, they're like light bulb moments.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got the courage to say, remember when I did X, Y, and Z? I'm sorry for that. That doesn't just happen out of thin air. That comes through reflection. And I'm wondering, I'm smiling as I'm talking to you, and I'm wondering, there's been soul searching in all of this.
My time in the truck And like I said, you're out there by yourself, and you're virtually riding in the house. You know, you got your bed, you got your TV, you got your microwave. So even when I pull over for my 10-hour break that you have to take, it's a mandatory 10-hour break you have to take in between driving your shift. You're in that truck by yourself, and you get to reflect on a lot of stuff, man. Like you're like, wow, I cannot believe I did that, or I said that. You know, I didn't have understanding. I didn't have the wisdom. I didn't have the knowledge to, at that time, help you. Instead of helping you, I ridiculed you. And if I offended you in that way, I'm just telling you right now, I'm sorry. You know, and a lot of people be like, well, I don't know if I would have done that, Solley. No, man, that's part of being a man. Admitting when you're wrong. Now we be always at women saying you never want to be accountable. Women won't be accountable. You got them dead wrong, and they'll change the narrative or they'll change the subject and try to bring up something to win the argument. Men, I'm not like that. Now screw up. I own it. I got taught that in the Marine Corps, believe it or not.
I mean, as I said, I think there were certain things that you've learned being in the Marine Corps, you know. It's given you a healthy discipline and a set of rules that you subscribe to.
It'll make you a man.
It'll make you a man. I think we're going to, I know we'll disagree on what it is a man, and that's okay. That's okay. But you mentioned about talking about people who may still be alive, people who've lost. Have you lost many people in your life? I don't mean have you lost people. Obviously, when you get to a certain age, you will have people, but have you lost people through suicide, through violence, through whatever? Life's compendium, mishaps.
Violence, yes. Before I was born, I was like maybe 2 or 3. My uncle committed suicide. My father's brother committed suicide. So, and I'm going to say, growing up here in America, they're just making for black men and their health. They're just now really, I figured like the last 15, 20 years are now making breakthroughs. It's okay to be a black man and say, I need help. Not like when my uncle was back in the 50s, you know, late 50s, and he's in his early 30s. Men weren't expected to sit around and say they need help. You know, you just dealt with it. And you had people, you know, when you had a person in your family that was kind of disturbed, your family didn't talk about it, you know?
Yes.
All you would hear is, don't leave Earl with those kids. Don't leave Earl with those kids. Like, Earl gonna watch the kids, though. Earl not watching those kids. No, he ain't. You know, because they know that Earl was a nut job and drown all of us in the bathtub and then kill it. They knew this, but they wouldn't. And the black family, especially here in America, like I said, I think the strides maybe the last 15, 20 years are now breaking through as you, as a black man, can say, I need help.
How's that been for you, witnessing that change? Because from over the water, from this part, it still feels for me, and I'm owning this, America's got a long way to go. I'm not saying it's perfect here in this country for people of color, black and brown people, not at all. But I still feel that when it comes to dealing with your mental health in America, it's still got a long, long way to go.
20 years is not that long ago. 20 years ago, I was 20 years ago, I was 36. It's not that long ago that we're just, and I'm gonna be honest with you, if it wasn't for some professional athletes like Brandon Marshall, used to play for the Jets and the Chicago Bears, the wide receiver, talking about how his mental health was, if it wasn't, I'm gonna tell you, if it wasn't for professional athletes and entertainers coming out, black people still be behind, because we didn't talk about it. You didn't talk about it. You were considered weak. if you try to say, hey man, I'm over here and I'm depressed and I'm not feeling right. And the smallest things, I'll see something and I'll start crying or I'll get upset. Why am I so angry all the time? You can bring that up. You're just considered a weak person if you did that. And I'm saying that's not 20 years ago here in America for a black man, brown man, to even say they're having that kind of problem without it being looked at as you being weak. Well, you're a professional football player. You're making millions of dollars. What are you talking about mental health? What problems do you have? It's a chemical imbalance. It could be a childhood trauma that never got addressed.
Absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to split that. That people say is a chemical imbalance. That was something that was brought up in the 70s and the 80s, and people gained traction, etc. And that's when people have brought in medication, etc. I wouldn't say that there's a chemical imbalance, but I would say that people are being impacted by life events like traumas, etc., which it affects us. It affects us. And if we haven't had those opportunities to talk about it, to purge it, then it's going to bring us down.
I'm gonna give you a quick example. You know how now, if somebody dies at elementary school or a school shooting, how they have counseling for the kids now?
Yes.
They didn't have that back in the 70s when I grew up. I had a friend that I was playing, okay? And school buses always pull up on the school bus to pick up kids to take back and forth if we lived out of the district. And this one kid, I was in third or fourth grade, and the kid would always jump on the back of the bus. But this particular time, he jumped on the back of the bus, and he fell off. And for some reason, the bus driver had to back up.
Oh, God.
Back the bus up right over the kid's head. I see the wheel go over the kid's head. I see the kid's eye pop right out of his head. And pop right out of his head. And go blood everywhere from the skull injury, right? The next day, everybody's back in school. There's no see a counselor. And you see that at 6, 7 years old, 8 years old. And you supposed to just go on and act like it's just a normal thing. Here am I at 6, 7 years old seeing my first dead body. And then I saw the accident that made it happen. But it was nothing like now. If any type of tragedy happened, they'd be like, we have counselors for your kids and they can come talk about it. Where was that? Where was that when I was in the 70s? They didn't have that. Like I said, we're so far behind on mental health and trauma. And I'm feeling the kind of way now that I can still see that kid who was just playing with me on the playground is dead in the street. Not gonna go home, not gonna hug his mother or his dad, anything. Just head squashed, eyeball popped out his head, dead on the ground. Blood everywhere. Red like it rained, the blood going into the sewer. I could see it like it was yesterday.
And Solley, that's your trauma that you've been carrying for almost 50 years.
Mm-hmm. But I'm supposed to suppress all this stuff.
So seriously, how the hell are you supposed to suppress that? You can't suppress it.
Don't our minds come up with coping mechanisms when we don't deal with the trauma right away?
Yeah, you do. But sometimes, okay, good. Sometimes
so eventually somewhere in there, I probably got a mechanism to where I was going to make sure I was never near a fucking school bus for a while.
Avoidance. And sometimes our coping mechanisms can be healthy as well as unhealthy. There's a book by a guy. He started working in America in 1976, and his name is Bessel van der Kolk. And the book is called The Body Keeps the Score. And he started working with veterans in 1976. And they were talking, he was on his first job, he was meeting Vietnam vets. and looking at their traumas and listening to their stories. And subsequently, now 2016, he wrote a book, The Body Keeps the Score, which was about trauma and how it stays within your body until you find a healthy way to purge it.
I just, it's so my son. So I'm gonna tell you how I deal with my son when he comes to me sometimes like that. Pressure at work, full time at school. People don't understand what's going on. You know what I tell him? I tell him first I recommend he get a therapist. And I'm not going to delve into his business, but he got one. He got one. But him and my daughter, I recommend, because like I said, in the Black family, when I was growing up, you didn't see a doctor. You handled it. You had to handle it. So like
Solley,
I said,
Solley, I want you to continue, but I'm going to say this now. Props to you. Props to you for saying that, because I thought personally you wouldn't entertain that. But it's interesting. Would you entertain it for yourself? I'm happy that you've done it for your son and your daughter. Would you entertain it for yourself?
I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I have no idea if I would seek out a therapist at this time of my life, because
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that.
Because I've been doing the same thing for so long that I just, it'll be hard to get me in. It really would. Now that you even got this much out of me, I'm shocked. I'm shocked. I'm shocked that I even said this much to you. My life and my family. Like I said, I told my son that he'll come to me. But one thing I never told him was those feelings that he feels, they're valid. And that you're not the only one feeling that way. So I never wanted to put him like, oh, be quiet, handle this, handle that. Other people, no, son. He's like, Dad, today I feel like this. Guess what? Your feelings are valid. These things happen because it's happened to me. But I want you to do something I didn't do. See a therapist.
Okay.
See a therapist. I told you I'm up here breaking so many old ass traditions, man. It feels like the whole goddamn building is on my back. I'm trying to break so many family. I'm talking generations of thinking. All right.
I know
and it's
that.
just me. It's just me trying to fight this battle for the future of the Sellers men that's going to be here that won't even remember me 100, 150 years from now. I'm trying to make sure I break the cycle. This has to be broken. It can't keep going the same way.
100%.
Right. So it feels like the weight of the freaking world is on my back, trying to steer my family in the right direction as far as financial health, educational health, mental health, self-being, and religious health. Whatever religion they want to be, I never told them they couldn't. I never said you don't have to run around here and believe in God or don't believe in God. You want to be a Christian, you want to be a Muslim, you want to be Jehovah's Witness. I never got in their way for whatever, because I left that open to them. I didn't force feed anything down their throat like it was force fed to me. You have an option, and you're allowed to express yourself in this house as long as you do it respectfully.
Yes.
But before, when I was growing up, you better not open your mouth.
Tell me about it.
Saying, can't you see adults are talking here? Go over in that corner.
Tell me about it.
Something. Yeah. So I'm trying to break old bad habits for Black people.
But just to throw back at you, you can't do everything. You can't be everything, but you can be solid, firm foundations.
That's what I'm trying. Yeah, still to this day, I'm learning. I'm still learning. A lot of things I taught my kids, there was nobody there to teach me. So all of mine was trial and error. All the things I've done with rules are written in blood. You know what I'm saying, so to speak. All the rules I've learned is written in blood. All the things I'm trying to do and make sure that for me to be a steady foundation, okay, you need life insurance. This is how you go about it. You need a checking savings account. This is how you go about it. You need a financial advisor. This is how you go about it. This is how you got to protect your credit. This is how you go about it. Everyone's not your friend. Just that smile in your face and shake your hand. This is how you go about it. You know, all these things, with the information I got is from trial and error and being hurt.
Absolutely.
You know, being hurt
Absolutely.
mentally, being hurt financially, and thinking you had a friendship with somebody and he stabbed you in the back. You know, what signs to look for. And I tell my son, you can trip your friends up. Just mention. You want to know if somebody is your friend, just do what I said. Just bring up something. Hey, man, I just bought a new something. And the one person that running their mouth telling and trying to one-up you, that person's not your friend. Friends don't sit around and try to one-up each other. They'd be happy for you that you just bought the new car, you got new clothes, you got the promotion at the job, or you just got the job you wanted, or you just completed your master's degree. They're going to be happy for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that person's not. And sometimes family you got to cut off too. That's kind of hard.
But it's true. It leads me to a point now to ask you this question. Who's the most important person in your life?
Right now, I would say my wife right now. Because I'm not easy. By all means, I'm speaking all cool and everything. I'm not easy to get along. I got blessed with a woman that can handle my BS, can handle my bullshit, and correct me without fear, and also without emasculating me. She'll be mad and let me know I messed up, but she'll do it in a way to not make me feel less of a man.
Okay. What if I said you're wrong, that it's not your wife? What if I said the most important person in your life is you?
I would say I would be second. Yeah, I think it's me and how
but let me hear me out.
Okay.
It's you because you're the expert of you.
Oh, okay.
You're the expert. You know what makes yourself happy. You know what makes yourself sad. And only by attending to your needs can you be fully there for the people that you love and obviously care for. And imagine this. Imagine if you did attend to your business. Imagine the levels, the textures of love, honor, and devotion that would be there within those relationships that you cultivate now.
Wow. I looked at it like that. I just always knew this is how I wake up. This is how I get through this whole life of mine, that I boiled it down to one thing. Every day I wake up, there's a chance for things to go right. That's how I'm looking at it now. When I fall asleep now, I always say this to myself before I go to sleep. Every time. Now, I just started maybe 2 months ago. I will have a successful day. And before I go to sleep, I will have a successful day. And since I've been saying that, my days have gotten better. Now, I can't prove it. I'm not a magician. I'm not a wizard, but I'm telling you, me saying that every night before I go to sleep, the next day, I've been having successful days. And I saw someone, I think I saw it on Instagram, someone was saying that, and I said, you know what, let me try it.
Manifesting.
Yeah. I've gotten better comedy gigs. even at the job, driving has gotten more pleasurable, driving the truck. And some things are, and my successful day is not measured in money or monetary gain. It's just measured in my peace has been better.
Yes.
Since I've been saying that every night before I go to sleep, I will have a successful day.
Solley, can I ask, do you like yourself?
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh, most definitely.
Who's your harshest critic of you?
I would definitely say me. Definitely me. Because I've known all the mistakes I've made. It's definitely me. I'm my hardest critic. Because I know exactly what I want for these last couple of, but in America, I'm not expected to live past 75. So if that's true, I only got 20 years left. So I'm trying to live it to the fullest.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
And I didn't have that mentality because I was just caught up in, everything that was going on, everybody else's problems. And, I got to solve this, I have to solve that. And who's happy? And I just was ignoring my own happiness for a minute.
When did that dime drop and you realize, you know what? They can sort out their own nonsense. I'm going to focus on me.
2 years ago when I started the comedy class.
So you gave yourself permission?
Mm-hmm.
You gave yourself permission. How have your friends been?
I have a very small circle, so there's not many friends. But the ones that are distant, that I talk to over the phone, they can tell, they can hear a difference. The ones that are close, they can see the difference in me. They're like, man, you're a little more bubbly now. You're a little bit more. I said, you know what? Because I'm worrying about me now. I'm 56. My kids are grown. I've basically done what I was supposed to do. And that was to get them prepared to be adults in this world. So if I die, they'd be able to take care of themselves. Okay.
Is legacy important to you?
Yes. Very important. A man want to know that he's left something behind on this earth other than tragedy and shit that didn't count. You got to remember, the house I buy 100 years from now, somebody else is going to be in this house. The property, someone else is going to own it. And so what does that mean? Okay, the car, if I was able to buy a Maybach, I'll buy it tomorrow. But 20 years from now, who's going to care I bought it? Okay, but my name, my son is Solley Sellers III. My father was senior. I'm junior. My son's the third. It's important to me. That's why I named him the third. And I told him, you have a son. I don't care what your wife said. I want my son. Nope. The first son will be Solley Sellers IV. You're going to carry the name on, and I'm going to live on long after I'm dead. My grandfather's name is still here. My father's name is still here. I'm still here. My son is still here. Thank God. Knock on wood. Legacy is very important. So I taught my daughters what that legacy meant. That you are going to be responsible for putting human beings on this earth. And there's no Prada bag. There's no Gucci bag. There's no bag. There's no vacation you ever going to take that ever's going to surpass that.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm conscious of time, so just a couple of questions.
Okay.
And I really know I want you back on air again because there's so many areas to explore with you. If you don't mind, that is.
No. If you want to have me back, we can talk, because this kind of been like a therapy session for me all of a sudden.
Well,
talk about some stuff I haven't talked about. I don't know, man. I haven't said any of this stuff out loud to anybody.
Well, maybe I think it's a good thing anyway. I think it's a good thing. But here's the question I was going to ask you. Where you're at now, you're 56. What piece of advice would you have offered to your 10-year-old self?
Oh, wow. Great question. I would tell my 10-year-old self that it's okay to enjoy your childhood a little bit more. You had to grow up fast. I'm Generation X. We the latchkey kids. We would go outside at 7 a.m. and don't come back in this house until the street light came back on. And walked everywhere and was never worried about no child predator trying to pick me up in the car. I was just bringing this up the other day with my at one of my comedy stands. We had to beat the shit out of the child predator. I ran with some dangerous kids. That motherfucker would have been there, been like, "Oh my!" He'd have been calling the cops. These fucking kids are trying to kill me, because that's how we were. We rolled in a pack. When we were, even when we were alone, I was taught to pick up anything and everything was a weapon since I was like 6, 7 years old. Pick up a brick, pick up a broken bottle glass. If your life is in danger, do whatever you can. And if you saw another one of your kids in danger, scream, do whatever. And like I said, we would have beat the shit out of that guy in the white van. We would have been driving the van. We would have been driving this van. He'd be like, "Kids, get in the van." He'd been calling the cops. "These kids took my van."
The last question I'm going to ask you is, what does love mean to you?
Oof. Being that it wasn't said that much to me, growing up, it was just understood. You understand what I'm saying? My dad didn't tell me. I tell my son and my daughters I love them a lot, all the time, because it wasn't told to me. It was understood that I had food on the table, that I had clothes on my back, that my father went and worked 16-hour days. The love was understood, not to be said. So for me to hear my children, when I tell them I love them, they say it back. Even my wife, she grew up in that household. When we first met and I told her I love her, it was hard for her to say it back. It was hard for her to have contact, hugging. And I hug her, you can feel like it was hard. It was hard. So love means the world to me. I love myself first and foremost. And I made sure that my wife and my kids and my brother and sister, I made sure I tell them I love them when I see them.
Does that come easy to you now to say, "I love you"? Because I'm conscious of the fact that it was important for you to break the cycle.
Now it is. But that's over, I've been married 28 years. So just say it took 28 years to get to that point. Excuse my French.
But, no need to apologize.
It took that long. It took that long to be comfortable, to make sure in a 28-year marriage, to make sure I tell my wife I love her. And even now, I know my wife loves me by the stuff she does, because she still, it's hard. It's hard. We had a little conversation this morning talking about that, how she's a teacher, by the way. And she talked about how her students hug her. They'd be like, "Oh, we love you, Miss Sellers," and they hug her. And she's like, "Ugh," but she loves that unconditional love that she gets from her students.
Absolutely.
But that's over 35 years of teaching before she got to that point. That she can express that, because she didn't have that contact. Because when I used to try to hold her hand in the beginning, she was like, like I thought something was wrong with me. I'm like, this woman don't like me. I'm like, and then when she broke it down and explained it to me, criticize her for it. I didn't say, "Oh, you weird. I gotta find me a woman that knows how to be touchy-feely. I need a woman to tell me verbally she loves me." I didn't belittle her for that. I understood, because I also came from that household. So that's why 28 people, that's why we together 28 years. She shows her love for me by the stuff she does, man.
Solley Sellers Jr, The Gray Ghost. Thank you for being a boss guest today on The Hurt Locker And we hope to have you back
You're
soon.
Yeah, anytime.
Thank you.
Talk to you later. Yinka, thanks a lot, man. Thanks for having me on. It's been good. It's been good. I'm feeling good. I'm going to have an excellent day today.
That's good. That's good. Thanks for listening to this episode of The Hurt Locker. Please give us a rating or share with another listener. You can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at The Hurt Locker Pod.